We are live for Around the Felt, Week 1, 2024 predictions. It is the eve of Chiefs-Ravens. I am quite excited, Reagan. Football is back, my friend. How we doing today? Are you excited as I am?
I think more. I mean, you're just quite excited. I'm fully excited. Full blown, baby. I'm fucking ready. I mean, come on. The NFL's here. We're back.
Dude,
The amount of fantasy leagues I'm in, the survivor pools, the spread pools, all that stuff. Let's go make some green. Talk to me next week.
Dude. How many leagues? What's your final number?
7 regular leagues, and then on Underdog, it's like 15. But I mean, they're not all like crazy price buy-ins.
Yeah,
some
same
of them
for
like
me.
$3. And the Underdog's a little different.
I got like 15 underdogs as well. I got 5 leagues. Just got invited into another one by Paul. Shout out, Paul. But unfortunately, we are live, so I cannot do a draft right now.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Paul. I guess I'll go fuck myself, huh? I guess so. Well, screw you anyway. And your Pats.
Yeah, Reagan. A lot of news that came down. You know, it's the soft deadline for guys to get extended and get those deals done, and we saw a lot of it. But before we get into the big bucks that were signed this week, Ja'Marr Chase back at practice, looking to play week 1. Great news for Bengals fans. Even better news for my fantasy team, Reagan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's massive because everybody spent a first-round pick on him, or Dynasty if you had him already redraft. Regardless, you spent high capital on him, so him missing a week would have been very, very bad. Nothing worse than not having your first-round pick in the first week of the season. So it's good that he'll be there. Very rough.
Would have been rough. Yeah, he didn't get his extension, but you know, Ja'Marr will get paid. Yep. He would have liked to secure it'll. Speaking of getting paid, Pat Surtain, 4 years, $96 million, the highest paid defensive back in NFL history. And I saw Sauce Gardner say on Twitter, "Damn, my boy got paid," and he must be happy because Sauce Gardner is going to top that deal one day, in all likelihood.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, Sauce is the best corner. But this is about Pat Surtain. I mean, that's smart. Keep him in Denver. I mean, I know it's floated around like, will they trade him? Clearly not. They're invested. I mean, he's their best player on defense. He's debatable the best corner in the league. So you lock down one of the most important positions in football. So great move for the Denver Broncos.
Absolutely. He's clearly the best player on defense. It's a defense that really lacks talent. So outside of Surtain, they would have been in trouble this year if he was not there and committed, which is good. Trent Williams, he does agree to his rework deal, 3 years for $82.6 million with the Niners. So the Niners get Ayuk and Trent Williams done before week 1. All the drama is gone, and they're ready to roll this season, starting up week 1 against your Jets.
Yeah. Awesome. No, I mean, that's, it's the Niners obviously got everyone taken care of that between him and Ayuk, and, they're just poised to be in the Super Bowl this year. It's a team that's in their window now. If you're not paying Brock Purdy, which they're not yet, you got to go pay the big guys that are the big factors, and this is when you got to go win the Super Bowl. Go get it done. No excuses now. Everyone's happy. Go get it done.
Go get it done. The amount of talent they're able to bring back is actually crazy. The way they've been able to manipulate the cap. And, with Brock Purdy making $800K a year, makes it a lot easier. Sam Cosmi, 4 years, $74 million extension with the Commanders, locking in one of their best offensive linemen at guard. I mean, it's a position that they've really struggled at the past couple of years in Washington. I still don't love the tackle position, but it seems like they shored up their interior for the next couple of years.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, you got a rookie quarterback just getting to town, so you gotta be able to protect them for the long term. So it's good that I'll have a staple of that O-line there for a long time.
Yeah. Jets and Carter, 3 year, $30.75 million extension. Nice deal for the slot corner in that secondary, huh?
Yeah, that's a really good contract for a slot corner. Like $10 million a year, that's not too bad. But he is one of the best, if not the best, slot corner in the league right now. I mean,
and
when
the
you see these
value has gone up with the league developing into more of a passing league. Slot corners on the field, you're a nickel and dime a ton these days.
Yeah, and I mean the thing with him is he, like, you see a lot of these corner lists where they rank the top 20. He's almost always in the top 20. So, being a top 20 corner and being number 3 corner in your team is pretty crazy.
As is Sauce and Reed. So that's why the Jets secondary is up there. Cam Hayward signs a 3 year, $45 million contract with Pittsburgh. A weird one here, because I don't think Cam Hayward has 3 years left in the tank. He's already talked about retirement, and if he had another year left in him, which he did, he's coming back this year. But a 3-year deal, I don't know. I mean, they're rewarding one of their stalwarts of the past decade, so you got to respect that. But I don't think Cam Hayward's going to play 3 more years.
Yeah, you would think not. You really would. You would not think he's going to play another 3 years. I mean, we shall see, but I highly doubt it. So, I mean, but you see these contracts a lot in baseball where it's like you almost pay them now to make them happy, and then knowing they're not going to play the whole thing.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, that wraps up the news. Drock, come on, dude. It's week 1. What do we got for questions, baby?
Let's go blue!
Woo! Dave's lucky hat. Let's go for
all the fans out there. This is Drock's lucky hat. We don't need to
you know. Yo, Lady Felter's out there.
All right, yeah, for our female audience who watches us,
or male, we're progressive.
All right, we're going Austie, boys. What a surprise!
Wow! I would never would have thought week 1 for NFL season. Austie Bears are rolling in with the questions.
Austie's got some good questions. Which player is going to have the biggest performance this week?
Oh, the number 1 performance. I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill at home. I have some good stats later on for you about Tyreek Hill, but he scored in 7 of 9 home games last year. The Miami Dolphins always play better at home, and Jacksonville's secondary is brutal this year. I really don't like what they have going on, so I expect Tyreek Hill to push for 200 yards this week and a touchdown, maybe 2.
Real? All right. I don't hate that at all. Give me a second. I gotta really think here. I mean, we got some good matchups here, but when I'm looking at the top performer, I base a lot of it off of the highest implied over under. So you know what?
Which is that Rams Lions?
I think it is. No. Yeah, I believe the highest over under. This is amazing pot. You know what? No, I'm gonna go in. Yeah,
I should have surprised everyone and went Daniel Jones.
Yeah, no. You know what? I'm gonna go with the best. I'm going Saquon Barkley is going to have a huge game in Brazil. A huge game in Brazil. He's going to go for over 100 rushing yards and have 3 touchdowns. I'm calling it now. 3 touchdowns, a hat trick. 3, yeah, to cement himself as a new Philly legend early on. He's going to have those Eagles fans going nuts. Giants Twitter is going to be in shambles.
I will say Green Bay did struggle against the run last year. They were better through the air. So,
and you know Philly's going to want to show off their new toy early.
No Jason Kelce, though. We'll see the impact on that run game.
What team is going to have the biggest showing this week?
Biggest showing. You know what? I'm going to go Baltimore. Sneak peek. I have the Ravens beating the Chiefs on the road. So that'll be back-to-back years defending champs lose to open the season. And I think it's not that they're a big underdog. They're only a 3-point dog, but just getting that taste out of their mouths from last year, the way it ended, I think they're going to come out with a purpose in this one. I think Lamar wants to prove a point. I think their game plan will be better. I think Baltimore really shows everyone that, they were the number 1 seed last year for a reason. They're here this year again to make a run and make some noise.
I'm going to go with a similar approach to you. I'm going with the Colts, actually. While I do think the Texans will win the division, I think the Colts, they have a lot to prove in this game. They're fucking pissed. They lost to the Texans in a winner-go-home game last year at home. So they're going to come back. Or no, wait, was it? No, was it in Indy? I believe it was.
It was in Indy, yes. Yeah. Because they were at Houston week 2 last year. I know that.
Yeah. So they're coming back home for week 1. They're 3-point underdogs, so that's got to piss them off. Everyone's been hyping up the Texans all year. Stroud MVP, Texans Super Bowl. I think this is a dud game for the Texans. I think the Colts come out and run the football down their throat, and I think they beat the Texans by double digits. I am expecting a huge game, and I think this is a huge start for Anthony Richardson here for fantasy.
Music to my ears.
Top 2, Walmart, a name we haven't seen on here in a minute.
Yeah, where you been? At Walmart?
What team out of the legit bottom 5 teams in the NFL, Carolina, not the Bears, have the best chance to go from worst to first?
Okay, so I'm going to rule out the Patriots right away. Let's be honest. They're not winning that division. It's just way too tough. So then that leaves us with the Panthers, the Commanders, and the Commanders, while I do think they will be good, I just think Dallas and Philly is too good for them that there's just I find it hard to believe that Washington could do it all.
Yeah, I agree. I have a similar mindset there with the Chargers, but just unseeing the Chiefs. I just don't see them this year with their roster topping the Chiefs. So that eliminates the Chargers for me as well.
And then number 4 would be the Cardinals, and then number 1 would be the Panthers. I'm going with the Panthers, just based off of their division. Out of the bottom 5 teams, while they did have the worst season last year, they are in the worst division out of all of them. I mean, there's so many question marks. I mean, the Saints, who knows? I mean, everyone's just ready to crown the Falcons the champs, but there's the world that doesn't work out, and the defense still has its issues, and Kirk Cousins doesn't look like Kirk Cousins. And then obviously the Bucs, I mean, yeah, they were good. They won a playoff game last year, but they went 9-8. It's not like they got the 49ers or the Chiefs in their division. So to me, I'm going to go with the Panthers based off of who is in their division and what they did in the offseason.
So it's bottom teams? Like you can't go with like Pittsburgh? Like that's not allowed?
Bottom 5 teams.
Man, I guess I have to agree with you because just due to process of elimination, it's just the weakest division.
I figured you'd go with the Chargers.
No, I can't. I don't think the Chargers, like, yeah, I believe in them more so than Denver and Vegas, but they're not going to unseat the Chiefs on the top of that division. New England's brutal. New England's, yeah, but still, it's the Chiefs, dude. They've been in the AFC Championship game 7 years in a row, you know?
It is the Chiefs, but my whole thing, like, if at all the other teams, they only have one team to unseat versus the other ones, it's like the Rams and the 49ers playoff teams, the Bills and the Dolphins playoff teams, the Eagles and the Cowboys playoff teams. So the only other case you can make it is for the Chargers. And look at how bad the Chiefs were in the regular season last year. They went 11-6. The offense was terrible. I know they made all the improvements and stuff, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Chiefs come in as a wild card this year and get it done. Or, I mean, it come in as a wild card, struggle a bunch, and then the Chargers steal it, but, you know, still the Chiefs. Like, even a wild card Chiefs, I'm not worried about it.
That is the only other argument you can make, to be honest with you. And Jim Harbaugh has done it before. He's took a team that was terrible and got him to a 12-4 season right off the gate in San Francisco. So, yeah, for argument's sake, you could go with the Chargers, but it's Chargers or Panthers.
Yeah.
Choose one player as the most valuable dynasty player to have right now.
It's got to be you.
If you have the number 1 pick in dynasty, and I'm not going like if you want to go super flex, like Josh Allen, I believe is number 1.
Yeah, I mean but that's not like when you say dynasty, you got to go off of like the standard. So
yeah, so we're gonna go. That's what I'm saying. I'm eliminating that. So if we're gonna go standard, like what position player do you want to start your team? Who's going number 1? Well,
it's obviously a wide receiver, and I think it's either I would go with Jefferson, honestly, out of all of them, and just hoping that the quarterback play, like obviously this year there's some question marks with Darnold, but I mean we kind of saw last year he is quarterback proof, and even if this year he's not a number 1 guy, but he's still top 5. I like the fact that he's got the contract and the production he's done before. Like Tyreek's age is there. I mean, you can make a case for CD and Chase as well, but it's just
that's
Jefferson,
what I was going to say.
You know, got the Triple Crown, or no, he didn't get the Triple Crown, but he was close to the Triple Crown. And last year in like 10 games at over 1,000 yards, like he's just a stud. So I'm going with Jefferson.
Jefferson is certainly quarterback proof. Doesn't matter. I will say though, like if McCarthy comes out next year and is bad, it does provide somewhat of a ceiling where, okay, is Dak Prescott going to be a Cowboy next year? I don't know, which I wanted to go CeeDee Lamb, but I don't know where Dak's going to be playing, which leads me right to Jamar Chase, who's with his college quarterback who will get paid. Burrow's been paid. They're going to be there for the long haul. So I think Chase is on the same level, maybe a tick below CeeDee and Jefferson. He hasn't had that one season where he's gotten 1,700 yards like those other 2 guys had, but he's been consistently dominant, and he has his guy, Joe Burrow, for the long haul. So I'm going to go Jamar Chase.
Fair.
Top 2, Dave Chahara, a name we have not seen on the pod.
I kind of hit up the big group chat this time for week 1. Figured the fellows would be a little excited, so we appreciate it, Dave.
Bring in the big dogs.
It's got a phenomenal first question that we saw all over social media today. No rookie quarterback drafted number 1 overall has won week 1 in the past 20 years. Does that change for Caleb this week?
He's wondering because he took Caleb number 1 in our rookie draft this year. That's his guy. He picked him over Marv, super flex, so quarterbacks are more valuable. That's his dude for the long haul. Does he change it? I believe he does, Reagan.
I believe he does, but I think it's going to be a very close game. I think it's going to come down to a field goal, but I do think we see the first big play from Caleb where it's fourth quarter. They need a field goal to win it, and he gets it done. I think we're going to see his first comeback.
I think he gets it done. I think Chicago is going to be absolutely rocking for this game, just out of pure excitement. Tennessee is more vulnerable on the ground than they are through the air. They have a pretty solid secondary. They brought in Snead.
Mm-hmm.
They have Roger McCreary still. They brought in Awuzie as well from Cincinnati. So I am curious to see. He has the weapons, but this will be a tough test, this Tennessee secondary, for his first game. But I ultimately believe that the Bears defense will help him get that win, and Will Levis will struggle through the air. But I do think the Bears will win at home.
Yeah, I just think the game's going to be super close. I just think there's going to be a lot of nerves and expectations that we're going to see early on. I actually love Titans' money line in the first half. I think they're going to be up the majority of the game. I just think the Bears in the fourth quarter are going to come back. I'm calling it now. I think Tennessee's going to get off to a hot start where the Bears are nervous. Got to get the nerves out. Maybe Tennessee gets a quick score, and we're looking at 10-0 at the end of the first quarter, and it's like, whoa, what's going on in this game?
I like it, Reagan.
Who's the rookie of the week? Who's going to be the rookie of the week?
Marv. I think Marv's going to have a huge game. I'll get into it a little bit later, but I think the Cardinals' offense is going to be on full effect. The Bills have just so many holes on this defense. They'll let so many guys go, so I think he's going to eat in this game. And I think he's game script proof because if they're winning, odds are he's a big aspect. Or if they're down big, he's going to get a ton of garbage time work. So I think he's going to have a big game. I think he gets his first 100-yard game this week.
That's a good pick, man. I was looking at Marv as well. I he was going to score his first NFL touchdown, his first game. As you mentioned, I think that game's going to be a shootout. So I think that's a good choice. I'm going to go with my boy Malik Neighbors, dude. Come on. You know what he said today? He came out and said he wants to hear Giants fans when he gets a first down or a touchdown going, leak. And yeah, that's going to hit different when we're there on Sunday, Dave. So
yeah, that's
although
awesome. Just two 24-year-olds just glazing a 22-year-old. Grow up.
He's
21.
Grow
up, dude. Grow up.
He's 21. But yeah, I'm
21, even better. No,
yeah, this Minnesota secondary is no slouch though, so I don't care. I think Malik Neighbors against a pretty good secondary is going to show what we've all seen through camp this preseason. Like, he's going to be that guy. He's going to be a dog. Malik Neighbors goes for 100+.
Are you guys so you guys are going to that game?
Is it pig's ass pork, Reagan?
It
is.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
We eat it every
too.
Yeah, hell
He's
yeah.
breaking into season tickets.
What's the squad right now? Who's going?
Me, Drock, Pop-Tart, and Zach.
Hell yeah. What are you using? Who else is going? Your dad now?
Yeah, my pop's going too.
Pops. And what about the fourth?
His work buddy, Savillo, big offensive line guy.
There we go.
Big fan of the pod. I sent him a lot of shit. Yeah.
There we go.
He's not the biggest fella, but you've never met somebody who studies offensive line play more than this guy. So that's where I get a lot of my offensive line nuggets. He sends me a lot of clips.
Oh yeah, the people are going to be excited. We get to see our first, Drox and Locks at MetLife.
Hell yeah, dude.
Who said it's going to be at Met? Who says
it might not be? We don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. All right.
Let's hop to Lino, baby.
Yeah, Lino. The only problem I have with this guy is he's a damn Cowboys fan. It's just brutal.
Yeah, it's kind of weird you guys aren't playing them week 1.
Yeah, after last year, I think they wanted to move the Giants away from the Cowboys week 1.
Yeah, fair.
He asked, first question, who will be the toughest underdog in the NFC?
Toughest underdog in the NFC. I like that. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
We were both given our predictions, and we both had there's kind of like 6-7 teams that you can kind of already shoo into the playoffs, and then it's like a couple teams that can they compete, but it's a lot weaker than the AFC. So one of my toughest underdogs, I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I really like their offense. They got the weapons, and if Kyler Murray can get back to his MVP form or MVP, he obviously didn't win the MVP, but a couple years back, he was one of the finalists. So if he can get back to that level with Trey McBride, Marv, and then the running back duo Benson and Connor, I know the defense has its issues, but Gannon proved last year like he is a good coach, and they beat some good teams, so they can hang there and compete. So I think they're going to be a very frisky team, and they're a team I would not be shocked at all if they're in the playoffs or fighting for a playoff spot down the stretch.
It's like underdogs. I immediately think Giants, Commanders, Panthers, Cardinals. Like, because Seattle, does that play?
That plays.
Yes, I think Seattle plays. I mean, I'm not a big Geno Smith believer, but there's still a ton of talent on that team. Their offensive line, which honestly is not good. It's unproven, but it was very beat up last year, and they have a lot of young players in the front that if they can start to gel, I mean, you do have 3 legitimate wideouts out wide. You do have a good running back duo. The defense has talent all over the place. New coach, I do like Mike McDonald. I think he's going to really help that defense and put together those pieces. No more Pete Carroll means the offense should open up a little more and not play so much old school ball. So I'm going to go Seattle. We're both going to the NFC West here.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that. I have a 5-unit max on their under and wins 7.5. So I hate it, but
5-unit mega whale max on the under.
Wow. Yeah. Big whale play there. That and Carolina over and wins. Those are my two whale plays right now for the win totals. And MSU. MSU, yeah. Actually, no, that's a mega whale. That's a freaking, I don't know, like what was the megalodon? That was a megalodon play right there.
So, I love it. Go Sparty.
Where does Justin Herbert fit in the fantasy picture this year?
Great question.
12, bro.
He's casting this because he loves Herbo. He loves Herbo, and we've been talking trade for a while.
Everyone's so down on him. Like, I know Keenan Allen's gone, and like Mike Williams, like, yeah, he was a great weapon when healthy, but it's not like he was there that often. You could never like bank on him playing the full season. Obviously, Eckler being gone hurts. But let's be honest, like he is a good quarterback. We've seen him finish in the top 3 before. So to be getting him at like 17th and 18th in redraft leagues, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he finishes top 12, if not top 5. I mean, the talent is there. Yeah, the weapons aren't great, but I'm not going to doubt him. So I think his ceiling is top 5. I really do.
I also believe in the coaching staff so much more. And the past 2 seasons, he's only played 6 games with the Mike Williams, Keenan Allen combo. And Josh Palmer I think he's going to surprise a lot of people this year because when he stepped up and been that number 2, he's been like, you can play him at flex, over the past couple years. But I think he's an elite quarterback, similar to Josh Allen, where a lot of question marks at the skill positions, but he will elevate those guys, and he's proven he can.
Yeah, that's a good one. I also like DJ Chark, too. I was highlighting him. I've been targeting him late in best ball leagues.
Will Kyler Murray live up to his fantasy hype this year?
Dude, 100%. We've been talking trade, man, and it's like he wants to trade entire teams. Super flex. I got Herbert and Kyler, and he's got Mahomes and Bo Nix, and he wants to swap quarterbacks while he also has Dak. And I'm like, bro, I'm not trading Kyler and Herbert. I'm actually higher on Kyler this year for fantasy. Every year that Kyler's been healthy, he's finished top 10 in fantasy points per game. And now he has, in last year, he still was productive with Trey McBride as the number 1. You just added Marv. We saw what he's done with DeAndre Hopkins, and he's way more recovered from that knee injury now, where he's going to get those rushing stats up again like they were early in his career, I believe. So, they also have
numbers will definitely be up this year. He's coming back. He's a year removed from the injury.
And they just took Paris Johnson last year in the first round. So now you have some decent offensive line play. I like Arizona's offense a lot. My problem is with their defense. So for fantasy, that screams shootouts. Yeah, that screams shootouts, man. So I like Kyler a lot. I think if he plays all 17 games, he's a top 10 fantasy lock.
For sure.
What are your locks for running backs, anytime touchdown scorers this week?
Oh, I got a couple. Just a little teaser for later, which I will get into, but new segment this year, Big Tongue Score Parlay. I got a 4-leg touchdown score parlay dropping every Sunday for you guys. I hit a decent amount last year, so I'd like to think I went up on them. And I'll give you a little sneak peek.
Do you want to just say the whole thing?
Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne is going to score. I also like Derrick Henry against Kansas City.
Do you want to say the whole parlay or no? Or
the whole parlay?
I mean, you might as well.
I can say it right now, the whole thing. All right, so leg number 1.
For bettors out there is a boost on the horse to score, so that's up in the air. Just saying.
Yeah, whenever a sportsbook boosts a guy to score, you always get a little sketchy. So this is purely for Sunday games, so the horse is not involved. I'm going Travis Etienne. He had 12 total touchdowns last year. Miami has an elite secondary, but they have a lot of injuries up front, and I expect that this is going to be a high-scoring game. So Etienne will be used both in the passing game and the run game. I like Travis Etienne. I think he needs to be heavily involved for Jacksonville to stay competitive. My next pick, same game, Tyreek Hill, mentioned it earlier. He's going to feast on this Jacksonville secondary. Scored in 7 of 9 home games last year. I think he's going to push for 200 yards. Tyreek Hill will score. Next, Josh Allen. Arizona arguably has the worst defense in the league. Josh Allen, a lot of new weapons around him. I think he's going to look to make a statement at home. Has a big game, and he had 15 rushing touchdowns last year. In a high-scoring game, again, that I'm anticipating, Josh Allen. And finally, Anthony Richardson. Last year in Week 2, his second career NFL start, on the road at Houston, had 2 rushing touchdowns in the first half, nearly 18 fantasy points in that game. Before, on his second touchdown, he had the whiplash and was concussed and got knocked out of the game. So now he's at home this time, more prepared. Anthony Richardson against Houston. That parlay, 4 legs, plus 1,300.
That's some value there. I like that. Quick question, side note. Is Colin like laggy for you, or is it just my shit?
So it's just for your shit.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Good.
When it's uploaded on the pod, like on YouTube, it's going to be completely fine.
Okay, cool. Just thinking about like a clip later, because obviously, like, some of you need to know this. You need to know if you want to lock a straight up lock. Yeah, I like that parlay. I'll definitely throw a whale on that. Now, maybe
I appreciate
maybe just
a
sprinkle
Megalodon.
it,
You throw it a Megalodon.
I mean, yeah, I'll empty the around the felt bank account on that one. Yeah. So the 3 I like David Montgomery in the Sunday night. He's minus 130 right now. Anytime. I think a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, Gibbs is going to score. He's the guy going higher in fantasy." And the fact that Gibbs is plus 105 to Montgomery minus 130, I mean, that's just me big branding it here. I think he definitely gets in the end zone. Everyone's just expecting Gibbs to take over, and whether or not he does, it's not going to happen until later in the year, where maybe he becomes the lead guy later in the season. But for now, I think it's going to be a 50-50, if not 60-40 in favor of Montgomery early on.
Also, a very inexperienced Rams front now with no Aaron Donald. So
yeah, and Detroit wants to run the ball. They want to run the ball down your throat and then beat you with the play action.
Yeah, and they also have the best offensive line in the league.
Yeah. I like I highlighted earlier, like Saquon, he's minus 110. And then another one I like, Jonathan Taylor at plus 100. So those are kind of the 3 I like.
I like
for
those
running
too.
backs to score.
Everyone's scoring this week.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, and we got a segment. Sorry, we got a segment or a punishment idea. Banana and Sprite punishment.
Oh, so you just want us to throw up on camera, huh? I threw up so many times last year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that one. We are going to be bringing the punishments back. I know there were a couple we didn't end up doing. We're not doing the season-long ones this year because it just loses its lust and it's hard to schedule. So we're going to try to do some good ones, but we're going to keep up with it. Every week we're going to be doing a punishment. No bullshit this year. We're going to do it. We're going to do it, all right? So just get ready to watch Colin look like a fool all year.
Yeah, I mean, I beat you last year, but it's fine.
All right, let's hop to Driving Crooner.
Matt, let's go, Matt. Yeah, that's his fantasy team name, the Driving Crooner. If you haven't seen I Think You Should Leave, highly recommend. It's the funniest show I've ever seen. The Driving Crooner, baby.
Perfect.
Oh, with what's his face? The
Tim
comedian.
Robinson. Don't you love it?
Yeah. That segment's funny, or that show's funny.
Is this Joe Burrow's most important year of his career, and why, if it is?
I mean, I would say so at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gotten to the Super Bowl once, so I mean, he definitely doesn't get enough crap. I mean, I think he's got to eventually get it done. Like, you eventually got to get past Mahomes, right? And you got to win the Super Bowl. Like, he's in his prime. He's got the weapons. I mean, they're going to pay Chase. We know that's going to happen. They're not going to let this go into the season. So he's got all the talent around him. They had a ton of money in the offseason, so they got better from last year. So yeah, I think this is probably the biggest year of his career because, they probably have their best team on paper.
Yeah, he's the only one that's shown that he can get past Mahomes in the playoffs, but unfortunately did not get it done. And this is most likely his last season with T. Higgins. So when you lose that legitimate number 2 next year, most likely it's going to become more difficult on his shoulders. I would say, yeah, coming back off that injury, the team still won 9 games last year and was competitive. So expectations are sky high, but Joe Burrow will live up to it. He will win MVP.
What do you do if you drafted J.J. McCarthy? Do I kill myself? Question mark.
He took J.J. McCarthy in the rookie draft. It's a tough blow for the Crooners. There's no doubt about it. You don't know how much he was going to play this year anyways. I mean, maybe half the games. You stick him on IR and you thank yourself later, as in next year or the year after. Or you hold on to him for a year and he sucks and you just really wasted a lot of time.
I'll do you one better. You throw him on your taxi spot. Don't even waste that IR spot. Before the game starts tomorrow, if you're listening, throw him on the taxi spot if your league has it. It's the last chance you'll have once the game's locked. No more adding. Oh, there you go. Add him to your taxi spot. That's a big brain move right there, and that's free of charge. Don't even waste the IR spot on him.
Mic drop.
Is Malik Neighbors a boom or bust in fantasy?
So Matt's just asking about all the guys on his fantasy team, clearly. No, he's not boom or bust. He's a legitimate prospect. He's one of the top wide receiver prospects in recent memory. He has a lot of boom, but it's not bust. Like, I think his floor is very high. Maybe for this year, if Jones is just really 100%. Bad again, but long term, no, his floor is really high.
He's going to be a huge boomer bust guy this year. I mean, most rookies are in their rookie season. It's pretty rare that they get over that 1,000-yard mark and irrelevant for fantasy. So I think with the quarterback play, he's going to be a huge boomer bust guy where you're going to see a lot of weeks where, yeah, you see why he got drafted in the top 10. And then there's going to be some weeks where you're like, yeah, Daniel Jones is his quarterback, and he is the true only weapon on this offense. So I think there's going to be weeks, unfortunately, where he goes maybe 2 for 27, and then there's going to be weeks where he's 8 for 102. So, and you're just going to have to live with that. But long term, yeah, you probably have yourself a very good asset. But I would just temper expectations in year one and just hold on to him. If he has a couple bad weeks, don't buy into it and sell him for the cheap, and I wouldn't sell him for the high either. And for redraft, I mean, he's just a guy I'm stashing and taking a wait and see approach. I mean, you're going to start him. You drafted him to start him because I know his ADP got pushed up to the top 30 at one point. So you're going to be starting him, but definitely would just temper expectations.
Also, I don't appreciate the Wan'Dale Robinson slander. He's going to have a breakout season as well.
Yeah, okay.
A betting question for Around the Felt. I'm broke. I thought that was funny because I'm broke too, so it works out.
Yeah, we all are.
Segment or punishment idea. Interview a bunch of drunks at MetLife with basic NFL questions.
Like, we theoretically could do that with a mic and go to MetLife. And
I actually like that idea. I think Drock would partake in asking people questions. So
I like it.
You guys good. You're going to be there Monday or Sunday.
We need a mic.
I would do it like
mics,
we do have a mic, but I would do it like maybe on a primetime game or something, like hours before something. I don't know. So I like the idea though.
I do.
That's a boom.
Let's hop to Chambers, aka calling himself Big Dog tonight.
The real big dog.
Ooh.
I guess that is fair. That is fair. Last time I checked, he was the starting running back over Colin at TC&J. So that is the true big dog.
Whoa.
I know a big dog when I see a big dog.
Horse Henry over under 15 tutties on the season.
Over. We were already. What was the line that we were talking about earlier in the year? 10.5.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love 15. I drafted him in a fantasy league the other day. I'm super high on him. We know this offense is going to put up points. They want to run the ball first. It's not like he's got a ton of great weapons in the passing game. So I think they're going to run the ball and run the shit out of him. I mean, you didn't give him a big contract. You got him for the next 2 years. He doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires left, so you might as well give him 300 touches this year and just run him into the ground. So I fully expect him to get 15 touchdowns, if not more.
Yeah, I believe Gus the Bus had 12 last year. Derrick Henry's a far superior player, but the offensive line on paper got worse. We'll see how they gel. But 15, that's kind of like the number, I think. I don't see him getting 17, 18. I think it's going to be that 13 to 15 range.
It's worth a sprinkle if you're talking about betting on it.
Week 1, start Xavier Worthy or Romeo Odunes?
Worthy. No Hollywood in the picture. I'd go Worthy. Odunes.
I'd go Odunes. Baltimore secondary is crazy good. Baltimore's defense, crazy good. Kansas City's defense, crazy good. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game where I think that Bears-Titans has shootout potential. Keenan Allen's also questionable right now, so if he isn't able to go in week 1.
Oh, that would change my mind. That would change my mind.
But I'm just saying, because right now we don't know. So obviously that's an even bigger upgrade. But obviously we won't even know before the Thursday night. But I'm leaning Rome Odunze. I just think that's going to be a much higher scoring game. And I usually try to target guys in the games where I expect more points.
Yeah, I'm going Worthy with the number 2 wide receiver paired with the best quarterback of our generation. Although Baltimore's defense is legit, I'm not going to go with a rookie quarterback, rookie wide receiver in their first game when that rookie wide receiver is wide receiver 3. But if Keenan Allen gets ruled out, I mean, you're shit out of luck if you went with Worthy.
Yeah, well, it's also just like Worthy's so boom. Like I wouldn't be shocked at all.
Boom, but you can boom. You can win with boom. You can win with boom.
There's no way Colin's on that vibe now, Reagan. He's so late. I
actually love it. I don't have TikTok, but you guys got me hooked. It's kind of funny.
You're so late onto it. You're so late.
That was so like last week, bro. Like the new TikTok trends. Like we're kind of over that, bro. But that would have been cool like a couple pods ago.
Betting question. Way too early bet for MVP.
Joe Burrow.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, we did touch on that in the predictions for the season pod, the last one we did. So if you want our explanations, just tune into the last pod.
Yeah, but also like anybody that you think is going to have a team that's making the playoffs is a good bet at quarterback, and only take quarterbacks. You're wasting money if you bet on anybody that's not a quarterback.
True.
All right, last person to ask a question, bigwang69@hotmail.com.
Oh, and God, another burner.
His name is Wanger. General question: why is Reagan so dumb?
Wow.
That's
you know what I say to that? You know what I say to that? You ever get the shit kicked out of you by a dumb guy? I mean, it hurts a lot more when you know you're getting the shit kicked out of you by a dumb guy. I mean, hide behind your username, whoever the clown is. Show your face.
So just by process of elimination, seems like a lot of my friends really helped us out with the questions of this pod. It's not Lino, it's not Chambers, it's not Dave, it's not Matt. Max always submits on his real name, so I don't think it's Max.
And Max wouldn't call me stupid. Like, we're both Jet fans. We wouldn't do that to each other.
I think the main culprit is Luke Young, since Luke Young is also a member of Around the Felt and he's in the CFFL Fantasy League.
Yeah, hey Boy Scout. Hey Boy Scout. Hope you sold a lot of lemonade, Boy Scout. You lose to my stupid dumbass in fantasy. See that belt up there? You see that belt up there? It looks real nice. You wear a sash, a Boy Scout sash around your waist. I wear that belt naked.
Oh, I mean, honestly, there's no coming back from that one. So there you go. All right, let's move on, Reagan. Let's talk games. Week 1, baby. We're right there. Oh, man, this is awesome. Baltimore at Kansas City to open us up tomorrow night. If you're listening tonight, Thursday night football. The over-under, 47.5. Chiefs are 3-point favorites at home. The defending champs. Mahomes is 4-1 against Lamar Jackson in his career. However, Lamar is 12-0-1 against the spread and 9-4 straight up as an underdog. Reagan, are the dogs going to be barking in Kansas City?
Not in this one. I'm rolling with the Chiefs here. I'm rolling with Mahomes. I think this game's going to be super low scoring, but if it was in Baltimore, I would have taken them. I just love the home team in this matchup, and I think it's going to – I actually really love the under in this. I think the defenses are both going to be in full effect here. I mean, I think it's going to be similar to the the AFC Championship game that we saw. So just expect not a lot of points and kind of a letdown. I think the Friday night game that we'll get into next will be more of the fireworks for the early primetime games.
I agree with you. I lean the under, and I also am taking the Ravens. I think a lot of people are going to have PTSD from taking the Chiefs last year against Detroit, and Detroit did go into Arrowhead and beat them. So, it kind of worries me that a lot of people are like, all right, well, they lost last year, so I'm going to go on Baltimore. So I don't want to be with the crowd on this one, but if I am, I have to be. The Lamar stat got me. The dude has something to prove. They want to get that taste out of their mouth. And I'm just under the assumption right now that they're going to have a different game plan from what they did in the AFC Championship game. They're not going to be dropping back to pass all day against that elite secondary, which no longer has Snead, but it's still an elite secondary. Kansas City's more vulnerable against the run. So Horse Henry, Lamar Jackson, get it going on the ground. It's a close game. It comes down to the wire. Fireworks to open up the season, not in a scoring way, but in an excitement way. And I think Baltimore gets it done by 3 on the road.
Very interesting.
Green Bay at Philadelphia, technically in Brazil, neutral site. -2.5 for the Eagles. Over under 48.5. A lot of talk this game might get moved. A lot of Eagles players are complaining about going to Brazil. Like, I'm just sitting in my hotel. Like, why are they sending us somewhere? There's a lot of different issues going on around the country. But Reagan, are you riding with the Eagles here?
I am. I think they have just so much to prove. I mean, they left a bad taste in, I think, everybody's mouth last year. I mean, they just put up a complete dud against the Bucs in the playoffs. So I'm expecting a huge win for Philly here, a statement win. I think Green Bay, they are my Super Bowl team, but I think this is just early in the season. It took them a while to really get in the full swing of things last year. So I think they come out a little sluggish here. Philly comes in all fired up with their high-powered offense, with their new DC, OC. I think the defense is much improved. Don't care that Devin White's already been ruled out. That's, to me, I mean, he's just not what he was. He's not that elite linebacker we saw early on.
From what I saw on Twitter, they were saying that he didn't even play well in camp, and he was the third best linebacker in camp.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's
not good for him playing time-wise.
Yeah, no, he's not what he was, so that doesn't matter to me at all. And like I said earlier, I think Saquon's going to have a big game. We're going to get to see them use their toy. So...
yeah, I'm going with the Packers here. Green Bay is vulnerable against the run, while Philly last year really struggled against the pass. Darius Slay's lost a step. A lot of young bucks in there. I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson being back is huge, though. But I'm going to go with Jordan Love to pick up right where he left off last season. That 17-1 touchdown to interception ratio down the stretch. I think he's going to light up the secondary. I think the Eagles are not going to gel yet. I think they will figure it out in the back ends, and Vic Fangio will make sure of that because he's one of the best DCs in the entire league. But I think they're really going to miss the leadership and presence of Kelsey and Cox in the trenches initially, and Green Bay wins in a very close game. But it should be a fun one. I think this game goes over.
Fair.
Now we're on to Sunday slate. Pittsburgh at Atlanta. I'm upset. I'm going to miss a lot of these games because I will be at MetLife. But, I'll tune in. I'll get the highlights. I'll see the stats. Pittsburgh at Atlanta. Falcons -3.5. Point favorites at home. The over-under 41.5. It's a low total because Russell Wilson is leading that Pittsburgh offense, but that Pittsburgh defense is legit. How will Kirk Cousins look at his return from the Achilles? Which side you rolling with?
I got Atlanta to win and cover here. It really boiled down to me not having any confidence in Pittsburgh's offense right now. I think they're going to struggle a lot. I think we're going to get to see some Fields, not in this game, but down the line. So I'm rolling with Atlanta here. I like the moves that they were able to get via trade, like getting Judon. That's going to be huge for the defense, and I'm excited for Raheem Morris and what he can do with this team this year. So I'm rolling with them to cover and win.
I'm rolling with the Falcons to win, but I think Pittsburgh covers. I think it's a 2 or 3 point win. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I like the under. The combination of Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith certainly does not excite me. I think Atlanta at home, much better than they are on the road. So I do think they get the win, but Kirk Cousins might be a little rusty. That Steelers defense is still legit. They still got those dudes up front. They still got Minka Fitzpatrick in the back end. I think it's a low-scoring game. I would take the under, and I think it's a close game, like 19-16. Might see a lot of field goals. I'm not touching any player props in this game, personally.
Yeah, it's probably one to stay away from. Or if you do feel that way, trust your gut. If you're like, I don't feel confident with anything, stay away.
Stay away. Don't get cute. Arizona at Buffalo. Bills -6.5 point favorites. The over-under 48.5. A high total for this one, Reagan. We've been talking about a shootout. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually got Arizona covering and winning here. I think this is going to be a statement win for them. I think they're going to prove like, hey, we're way better, much more improved from last year. We got our quarterback back. He's fully healthy. We got some sick weapons. I think this game is going to be a shootout because while Arizona's defense is terrible, so is Buffalo's. So I think there's going to be a lot of points put up. And I think this is going to be one of the biggest storylines is what's up with the Bills. I still do think they make the playoffs, but I think they're going to see some early season struggles when they're kind of trying to figure out the new offensive flow without Stephon Diggs, without Gabe Davis. So I think there are going to be some growing pains for Josh Allen with his new weapons.
I got Buffalo winning, but I do have Arizona covering the 6.5. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think Arizona's going to battle, but ultimately Josh Allen makes plays down the stretch with his legs that seal the win. And Arizona has arguably the worst defense in the league on paper. Gannon is a legit defensive coach, though, so he'll make them play better than what they actually are on paper. But I think Josh Allen goes nuclear. I think he pushes for 100 yards rushing. I think Kincaid has a big game. I think one of these 3 wide receivers has a big game and everyone overreacts, and that's the guy they're going to want to trade for in fantasy. So I would say, against a terrible Arizona team, if these guys go nuclear at the receiver position, don't buy when the price is high, right? Because there's going to be some more difficult games here for Buffalo coming. But I am curious to see how this new look Buffalo secondary will fare against Kyler Murray and the debut of Marvin Harrison. But this is a big game for the tight ends, McBride and Kincaid. I think it'll be a fun one. But I do think Marv scores his first NFL touchdown here. So if I'm going 2 touchdowns, I already said I got Josh Allen in the big tong parlay, but I think Marv gets it done as well. All right, Reagan, Tennessee at Chicago, -4 for the Bears. The over-under is 44.5. We touched on this one earlier. I said, I'm curious to see how Caleb looks against a pretty strong Tennessee secondary. They are more vulnerable on the ground, so I think Swift could have a solid day, but ultimately I think this Chicago secondary just suffocates Levis, even with his new weapons, and the atmosphere in Chicago will help lead the Bears to win. I actually have them winning by double digits.
Wow. What was the spread on this again? What did it close
4.
at? 4. Okay. So I actually do think Tennessee will cover this. I feel pretty confident this game is going to come down to the wire. I just think there's going to be so many jitters, so many expectations that it's going to be a very close game. Too many people batting the Titans for my liking, but I feel confident. And I know we did talk about making it the big bet. You want to make it official?
Oh, let's do it, brother. Let's do it. I just said Bears win by double digits, and you just said you're very confident it's the game. You're not the Titans up though, are you?
No, I do have the Bears. I talked about it earlier. I think it comes down to a field goal at the
Bears,
end.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want to give me the hook? Do I get 4.5? Or do you want to?
I'm not giving you no damn hook. You put in the sheet 4, bro.
Okay. All right.
You put 4 in the sheet.
All right.
Yeah, just because I think they went by double digits doesn't mean I'm giving you the hook.
All right. So I guess we're both drinking mayo and coffee then, because that's going to be the punishment. We're doing it this year. I know I was supposed to do it last year. We got sidetracked and stuff, but somebody's drinking mayo and coffee in honor of Will Levis. It's going to be a gross amount.
Yeah, it has to be a gross amount. And, if it does come down to 28-24, so be it. We'll both do it together next weekend.
Yeah. So that'll be the first of many punishments this year.
Let's transition to, in my opinion, the worst team in football this year. The Patriots at the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals are 8.5-point favorites. The over-under, 40.5, a low total. I would also take the under on that. But, Reagan, do you think the Bengals continue to start off slow like they have the past few years? Or is this a cupcake opponent they roll?
Yeah, I think this is a cupcake opponent. They roll here. I'm not confident in the Patriots at all. I think the Bengals are going to be juiced up. They got their quarterback back. Jamar Chase is going to get paid before Sunday, so he's going to be all hyped up, and I think they're just going to blow him out here. I think there's going to be double digits. This is my favorite Survivor pick of the week. I've taken him in pretty much all my entries. I'm not going to do it in all of them because in the off chance they lose, I'd like to at least be still alive after 1 week, but this is by far my favorite Survivor pick, and I'm sure it is many. I saw like 33% of people were picking them, and I'm sure that number will be closer to 40, considering they're the biggest favorite on the slate.
Yeah, I have 3 Survivor Pool entries. 2 of them are the Bengals, so I agree with you 100% there. I do not expect them to repeat what they've done in prior years, starting off slow. Joe Burrow is fully healthy, has a full camp this time around, no calf injury or other shit going on. I mean, the Patriots are coming off a 4-13 season, and they look actually worse on paper. And if this was Bill Belichick still at the helm, I might think, okay, week 1, he's prepared, he's ready. It's going to be a low-scoring game, and they'll be competitive, even though I still wouldn't have picked them to win, but maybe to cover. But I can't put my faith in Gerard Mayo right now. Haven't seen him do it yet. Jacoby Brissett. I mean, the Bengals are at home. I think they roll. And I also think, I'm not betting on this, but I think Jamar Chase just got back to practice today. New England does have a pretty good defense. They do have some dudes in the secondary, but I think Jamar Chase scores and silences all of his haters for his holdout.
Yeah, I know. I love that. I definitely think he can score. I think the only thing that may hurt us is they get up big and they don't even really need to pass the ball, and it's like 30 to nothing and going into the 4th, and it's just like everyone gets benched. So I don't know. It definitely makes me a little nervous for fantasy this week. I don't know if the ceiling's super high for some of these guys because we don't expect to shoot out.
Yeah, actually, as of today, my projected points for Chase dropped by like 4 in Sleeper. They really toned it down just because he just got back to practice. So we'll see. He can also go for 30, and it's like, okay, it's Jamar Chase. Houston, -3 at the Colts. The over-under, 48.5. Reagan, you mentioned earlier you love the Colts in this one. I love the Colts this season. So I'm going to go with you on this one. I'm also going Colts.
All right. There we go. There's some agreement.
Hey, I predicted him to win this division with a tiebreaker over Houston. Therefore, at home week 1, I gotta take the Colts. It's a big one, dude.
Funny if you didn't take them here.
It's a big one. I mentioned earlier how Richardson looked before leaving with that concussion against Houston last year. And Houston is just one of the most hyped up teams heading this season. I'd say it's probably Houston and Chicago have the most hype, right? From teams that just haven't. Yeah, and the Jets, obviously the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. But I think they failed to live up to that hype in week 1. I will say though, this Colts secondary does worry me against CJ Stroud and this weapons. So I'm taking the over in this one, even at 48.5. I think Stroud's going to light up the scoreboard, but I think Richardson, Jonathan Taylor have a big day, and they get the game done. They get a win. And Shane Steichen is that dude, so he's gonna be ready to roll with the schemes.
Yeah, I think JT has a big game. I mean, I said it earlier. I just think there's way too much hype coming in on the Texans right now, and so many people are going to be betting on it. This just seems like a trap game where it's like, oh, at home, 3-point underdogs. Like, I don't know. And I just think last year, just losing in a winner-go-home game at your own stadium against this team, it's just going to mean so much to the Colts. So I do think they get it done. I agree with you. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored, but ultimately, I think the Colts get it done.
Jacksonville at Miami, minus 3.5-point favorites. The over-under, 48.5. Miami at home, man. You just want to see a track shoot. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this one, too. Touched on it earlier. Tyreek Hill, Travis Etienne will score in this one. I'm curious to see how Trevor Lawrence looks fully healthy. I'm curious to see how involved Brian Thomas is in his first NFL game. I'm curious to see the running back rotation for Miami. Where'd you end up on this one, Reagan?
I got Miami winning, covering. I just think they're going to kill Jacksonville. Miami beats bad teams. In my opinion, Jacksonville is a bad team. I fully think Miami's going to win by double digits here. It's just classic. At home, great weather. They're just going to get it done, put up a ton of points. Probably, in my books, they'll probably be one of the highest scoring teams, if not the highest scoring team this week. So I think they're going to start out the year with a bang, and they're going to embarrass Jacksonville in the Florida Bowl.
I don't think they embarrass them. I think it's a shootout, and they win by 7 to 10 points. But I do have Miami winning and covering. One thing I forgot to mention earlier with ETN, not only is Chubb and Phillips not there, but Christian Wilkins also is now in Las Vegas. So, that Miami front, I think, can be had, although they are really good in the secondary. So I love Travis Etienne in this game so much. Dave, I know you're listening right now. You're pretty pumped to hear that, but you should still trade him to me. All right. Carolina at New Orleans. Saints a 4-point favorite. The over-under 41.5. This is probably the game I'm least excited for, to be honest with you. Might not be for you, just because you have the Bryce Young top 12 fantasy quarterback, because our Panthers video on YouTube's at like 1,500 views now. So
now more like 2,000.
2,000. So your Reagan keeps up with the analytics every day, more so than I do. But yeah, are we all rooting for the Panthers this year? It seems like the Panthers are fans of us. So maybe we should have a little bit more love for the Panthers. Reagan, are you taking them to win outright?
I am. I got the Panthers winning here. Saints are garbage, dude. They're like, I rocked with those boys last year. They play ugly games. They really do. I think the game will be low scoring, but I'm just so excited for all the additions and what Canales can do to open up this offense, and what he's done in the past for these other quarterbacks between Geno and Baker. And let's not forget, Bryce Young was the first overall pick last year. So let's not write the guy off yet. He got some good weapons in there for him. They improved the offensive line. So I'm excited. And I don't believe in Dennis Allen and Derek Carr. Like, I'm expecting more of the first half and not the last 4 games of Derek Carr last year, but we'll see. He's healthy, and we've seen him play at an MVP level before, so it'll be interesting. But I'm rocking with the Panthers.
Really tough for me. I want to take the Panthers outright, but I couldn't do it. I'd have them covering, but I do have the Saints winning at home. I'm really curious to see how Bryce Young looks with the improved supporting cast, the improved offensive line play, the weapons they brought in. But that Saints defense is, although it's old, this entire roster is old, and I think Dennis Allen is like the worst head coach in football.
Yeah.
But the Saints defense at home does worry me. It is a tough place to play there in New Orleans. So I think the Saints win by a field goal. Panthers keep it close, low scoring game, but they do cover.
Fair.
The Minnesota Vikings, 1.5-point favorites on the road at my New York Football Giants. I will be there in the crowd with the over-under 41.5. And yeah, the Giants are going to win outright. Darnold is going to see ghosts in MetLife once again on Sunday as the Giants pass rush wreaks havoc, especially Dexter Lawrence in the interior. The Vikings do have 2 really good guards. Really good tackles in Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill. But, hey, let's see. We got Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau. Let's see what happens. And the Vikings secondary is much better than their fronts. They lost to Neil Hunter. They do have some holes there. And I don't think Dallas Turner is going to have a monster impact right away. But really curious to see how the Giants' offensive line gels together, because this is the team that can be got on the ground. So I'm hoping that Devin Singletary has a solid game, or Tyrone Tracy. I don't know how much he's going to play, and Daniel Jones, expect him to run the ball lots. He looks healthy. His knee's all right. So I think Jones is going to scamper a lot. And I'm also going to call it. Jalen Hyatt captures a big deep ball of 40, 50 yards, and Malik Neighbors scores his first NFL touchdown. Giants win in a close one by a field goal.
Wow. That's awesome.
I know you have the Vikings, so.
I do have the Vikings here. I'm a big Sam Darnold guy. I know he didn't work out with the Jets. We kind of ruined him, but he did a lot for my boy Jared as well. So I just think he's a good guy.
Great guy.
Great guy. Yeah. So I don't exactly know why you're not rocking with him. But anyway, I rock with great guys. I rock with good guys. So I'm excited for what they can do. But this game's ugly. Like you said, the Panthers and the Saints might be one of the worst games on the board. This one is like the game of like everyone's just shitting on them in the media, and like both of these teams, like quarterbacks suck. Teams are going to be drafted in the top 5 next year. Like move on to next year. It seems like this is the game where it's just like already the fans just start looking at the mock drafts. But I'm leaning Minnesota, and a lot of it has to do with the weapons on offense. Minnesota's offensive weapons are just significantly better than the Giants. Jettas, Aaron Jones. I know Hawkinson's not playing. Addison, it sounds like he's going to play.
Yeah, you can't argue that. You can't argue
Malik Neighbors. So it came down to who was the better weapons, because both quarterbacks I have no confidence in. And then the defense, I know the Giants do have the better defense, but it's going to come down to, can the Giants defense step up, or does Minnesota's offense step up? Because I don't have a lot of confidence in the Minnesota defense, and I don't have a lot of confidence in the Giants offense, but I'm leaning Minnesota in a close game, but I'm not loving it.
Yeah, I think if the Giants are going to win, it has to be because of the pass rush. Very young secondary. And offensively, I don't know if we have the firepower to put up 25 plus. So it's going to have to be on the legs of the pass rush in this one. And we'll see how they stop the run with Aaron Jones. We got some solid linebacker play. All right. The Raiders at the Chargers. Chargers 3-point favorites at home. The over-under 40.5. A lot of lines right around that 3-point number this week. It is the opening week, so I get it. But Reagan, does Jim Harbaugh get a win in his first game back in the NFL?
Well, I want to say quickly, it is pretty interesting that the over-unders aren't higher with the new kickoff rules, because I expect a lot of teams to be getting way better field position to start games. Unless you boot it out of the end zone, like a lot of these returns, the offense is going to be starting on like the 30, 40-yard line. It's just going to be longer returns now. So I'm actually surprised these overs aren't higher just because of that aspect. But regardless, I'm going with the Chargers to win and cover here. I just think they're the much better team than the Raiders. Obviously, I don't love their defense, but I do like their offense a lot. And I have a lot of confidence in Justin Herbert. So I'm rocking with him at home in a big first game for Harbaugh as a head coach.
For me, it's one team has an elite quarterback, one team does not. So I went with the Chargers as well to win and cover. I think the Chargers defense will be much improved under Jim Harbaugh as it was Brandon Staley. And I'm really curious to see how Herbert meshes with his new weapons. The Raiders have a legit front with Wilkins and Max Crosby up there, and Tyree Wilson, who just took 7th overall last year. However, this secondary is bad, and it's been bad for what seems like forever, because anytime they draft a corner, they always whiff. So this is a game for Herbert to get on point with his guys. And I think Josh Palmer is a dude to target in this game. I like his over in receiving yards. I'm not taking any touchdowns in this one because just so many unknowns, but Palmer and Herbert do have that rapport that they've built the last couple years. He's the guy that's been there. So I do think Josh Palmer over receiving yards is a nice play. I do think he's a sneaky flex option in deeper leagues. And I think it's welcome back to the NFL, Jim Harbaugh. Week 1 win over a divisional rival.
Why not? Why not?
Denver at Seattle. Seahawks, 6-point favorites at home. The over-under, 41.5. It's a tough matchup on the road for the debut of Bo Nix. It's just a tough place to play there in Seattle. But he was named a captain. He's got the belief from everybody in the room. Does Bo Nix shock the world and win on the road in Seattle week 1?
He does. I think Denver gets it done. I think this line is crazy. 6-point favorites for a non-playoff team in Seattle last year. I have no confidence. They're not a good team. they're not good. Like on paper, yeah, offensively they got the bigger names, but their defense isn't great. You highlighted earlier, their offensive line isn't great. I think this game's going to be ugly. I think it's going to be low scoring, and I think Denver makes it, it's just going to be ugly. Like, it's going to be low scoring. I just really think Denver can get it done here, and I think that 6-point line is very disrespectful. And whether or not Seattle gets it done, I feel very confident that Denver covers the spread. That's way too many points to give Seattle. Way too many.
I'm also on Denver to cover. I do think Seattle squeaks it out and does get the win. I mean, outside of Surtain, I'm just really, really concerned about what I see this Denver defense. But then again, like, they had no business winning 8 games last year. Sean Payton's a good coach. Say what you want about him. He might be a little prickly in the media and, the way he handled the Russell Wilson situation, but he's a hell of a coach, man. And this is Mike McDonald's first game as the head coach for Seattle. So I think Denver is going to battle in this one, even with Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix actually looks pretty damn good in this one. It's a secondary on Seattle that does have some, Tariq Woolen and Devon Witherspoon. They got some talent back there. So really excited to see that. But I do think that he plays well. He makes a lot of throws. And I do think they cover. But ultimately, Seattle at home is tough for me. If Denver was at home, I think I would go with you and take Denver. But I'm going to ride with Seattle, the home team here. But Denver does cover 6. I agree with you. 6 points is a lot.
It is. For a team in Seattle that didn't even make the playoffs, giving them way too much respect.
Yep. Dallas at Cleveland. The Browns a 2.5-point favorite at home. The over-under 40.5. I think this line just reflects how much better Cleveland plays at home than on the road, and also how much worse Dallas plays on the road than at home. These are like two of the teams that you really think about who plays the best at home. It's like that Browns defense is shut down at home. That Dallas offense is lights out at home. So that's why I think the Browns are favored in this one. Plus, there's been a lot of drama in Dallas this offseason, Reagan.
That there has, but I don't care. I got Dallas winning. I got Dallas covering. Both teams have elite defenses, but Dallas's offense is, in my opinion, even with all the question marks, is still way better than Cleveland's. No Nick Chubb, so a lot of that run game that everyone talks about in Cleveland, like, do you have confidence in Jerome Ford? Sure, he'll maybe have a good fantasy game, but he's not Nick Chubb. Deshaun Watson, I have zero confidence in. He has yet to prove that he has been worth any penny he has received being the quarterback there. So I'm going to roll with Dallas here. I just think they're the better team. I don't care if they're on the road. Give me the underdog here. Dallas. Taking them.
Dude, this one was so tough for me because Dak Prescott is a professional, so I don't think he's going to let the contract dispute leak into the season. But clearly he feels slighted by the front office. At the same time, I have no faith in Deshaun Watson. I've let it be known. I've written about it. The worst contract in NFL history. I think he's a bum. But ultimately, I had to go with Cleveland at home. If this game was in Dallas, it wouldn't be close for me, but I went with Cleveland at home. Their defense just so elite there. Matchup I'm looking for is Myles Garrett. They're definitely going to line him up across from Tyler Guyton, the rookie left tackle for Dallas, who looked good in the preseason, but you weren't going against Myles Garrett. So also, I think the Browns, they have one of the best secondaries in football. And outside of CeeDee Lamb and Ferguson, I kind of am worried about Dallas's weapons. I'm worried about their run game initially. So for me, I think it's a low-scoring game, but I think Cleveland at home gets it done. All right, Reagan. The Commanders, the debut of Jaden Daniels at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and my boy Baker Mayfield, -3.5 favorites. The over-under 43.5. Does the rookie get it done in his NFL debut?
Yes, he does. I got the Commanders winning.
Jeez, dude,
I got the Commanders winning.
Every time I ask a question, you answer it like you got the fucking dogs. You have the dogs barking this week.
I got the dogs barking. The dogs usually do bark in week 1. You see a lot of upsets. A lot of people get knocked out in Survivor. And it's kind of the feel-out week where Vegas has no idea what, like, with all these teams. So I kind of like the plus money. I don't like taking the big favorites because Vegas really doesn't know. And then week 2, it seems like all the big dogs get it done and win. So I'm rocking with Washington. I think Jaden Daniels has a good game. I think he's going to be great for fantasy, but and also I really have no confidence in Tampa. I think the offense is going to struggle a little bit without Dave Canales. My boy, I've been hyping him up a lot. And I'm down on Rashad White this year. I really am. So I don't think the touchdowns are going to be there like they were last year.
Yeah, I went with Tampa Bay straight up and against the spread. I think it's just really tough for rookie quarterback to make his debut against a veteran team like Tampa Bay. And this Washington secondary is still one of the worst in football. They still have question marks at the tackle position. I think Baker and Mike Evans are going to have a big day. I was very tempted to put Mike Evans in my touchdown scorer parlay. So if that comes back to bite me, I'm going to be upset. It was between him and Richardson, but just put a little flag in that. But I'm really curious to see Jaden Daniels and his legs. How much does he run? Because this Commander's weaponry outside of Terry McLaurin, I'm not in love with it. I think he's going to check down a lot to Eckler and Brian Robinson, but I also think he's going to scramble a lot because the Bucs do have a pretty solid secondary. Antoine Winfield is one of the best safeties in football back there. So if the Commanders are going to win, I think it's on the legs of Jaden Daniels. But for a veteran team, I think the Bucs just get it done at home. Sunday night football. The Rams are at the Lions. Lions minus 3.5-point favorites. The highest total on the slate at 50.5. A rematch from the divisional round last year in which the Lions won 24-23. Do they win again, Reagan?
They do. I think they're going to take care of business here. And a lot of the reason why I'm taking Detroit here is they improved their secondary significantly. They get Carlton Davis in free agency. Then they get both corners in the first and second round in the draft. And that was my biggest issue with Detroit last year is that they bleed points. And while Puka Nacua had a huge game last year, I think he's still going to get his. But when you go and address the secondary that got lit up last year by this team, I think it's going to make a big difference. I think the Lions are going to beat them by double digits. I think they're going to run the ball down a young Rams defensive front. I'm expecting a big game from Montgomery, but I also think Gibbs will have a big game as well. I wouldn't be shocked if both get in the end zone, if not both multiple times.
Ooh, I think this is a higher scoring game than it was last year. And I expect the Lions to win by a wider margin. I'm thinking like 31-24, something in that range, 34-24. No more Aaron Donald. It's a very inexperienced defensive front. The Lions have the best offensive line in football. They will rely on their run game. I think if you're picking back and forth between Gibbs and Montgomery, have no fear. They're both going to score. You're going to be okay. But I do think Stafford, Kupp, Nacua keep the Rams competitive. But I just don't think they're deep. I don't think they're and Kyron. But I more so think they have to get it done through the air. But I think the Rams. I think the Lions front is much better, especially with DJ Reader added to the mix. So I am higher on the receiving game for the Rams, and I think they'll be down. So Stafford's going to have to slang that thing, but because their defense won't be able to stop Detroit at home. Detroit's winning the Super Bowl in my eyes. This is a big game to start the season with Stafford back in Detroit. Similar result to last year, except this year they don't make it as hard. They get it done. Wider margin. They score over. Finally, Monday Night Football. The second year in a row. The Jets are on Monday Night Football to start the season. It can't possibly go any worse than it did last year, even though they won the game. At what cost? The Jets at the Niners. The Niners minus 4.5-point favorites at home. The over-under 43.5. Tough line to pick there because these are two elite defenses, but also what should be two elite offenses. If the Jets offense can gel, the drama in San Francisco is over. The crew's ready to run it back. Reagan, I can't imagine you're picking against your Super Bowl winning New York Jets that you have this year, huh?
I'm not. We're going to get it done with Rodgers. He's going to stay healthy this year. I do think this game's going to be super low scoring. I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter where it's back and forth. I honestly am tempering expectations on no. I don't know if it'll be super low scoring because at the end of the day, I think the 49ers, they have just too many weapons that they're going to get theirs. I mean, I wouldn't start either defense in fantasy, but I mean, I don't know. I'm just going with the Jets here. I mean,
that's just a biased fan selection there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't really. I'm just always going to take the Jets. I'm telling you that now. Like,
are you worried that Aaron Rodgers is going to be rusty? Like, this is a tough game to come back to. Like,
even if he's rusty, like after
not playing in 2 years against the Niners.
Even if he's rusty, he's still better than anything we put out there last year. And like we competed with some good teams with like Zach Wilson as our quarterback. So I can't imagine him being rusty isn't like basically Zach Wilson at his best, So I'm not too worried about it. Even if he does come out a little rusty, he's got a nice, easy schedule coming up after that for the next 4 or 5 games where he can get unrusted real quick. Throw some WD-40 on him. He'll be ready to go.
I do think the Jets cover here, but the Niners win. I think 4.5 seems like a lot for a team of the Jets' caliber. So I think they lose by a field goal. I thought it was going to be like a 3-point spread, but ultimately I have to go with the team that has made several deep playoff runs. We've seen them do it. They've been in the Super Bowl. The Jets have those aspirations, but I think it's going to take some time for them to gel a little bit. And I am happy we finally get to see Aaron Rodgers in action in the green. You know, I don't like the Jets, but I have a lot of Jets fans, and I feel bad for them. I genuinely do. So hopefully you guys are competitive in this one, but you're not going to see that first win with Aaron Rodgers yet, buddy. You will cover, though. So if you take 4.5 as a fan, you'll make some money, but at what cost, Reagan? Because you're not going to win this game.
Aaron Rodgers finishing the game is a win. All the wins I needed for this game. I don't even care if they win the game. As long as he's healthy and upright and good for week 2, I don't give a shit. Honestly, it's a long season. So if this is one of the ones we lose, it's all right.
And it's, you know, a top team in the league. So it's not the worst deal. All right, Reagan. That wraps up our week 1 predictions, man. Oh, it felt good to talk actual games again, bro. It felt so damn good.
So damn good. I can't wait. I mean, the amount of and the wheel, baby. The wheel will be back tomorrow. We got 4 this wheel with the Brazil game. We got 4, not 3, but 4. Let's get up some big units. One of them's got to hit. Why not 2? Why not 3? How about 4?
Oh, that'd be great.
Probably not, but you never know. You never know. I'm not going to doubt it. I ain't going to doubt it.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Check us out on the social medias. We got a lot of betting content coming for you guys this weekend. Big Tongues touchdown parlay, the wheel, and Drox Locks. We are so fucking back.